All right, Fight Hype here. I'm here with Danny Garcia. Danny, some big news in the boxing world recently. Just want to know what your thoughts are on the Benavidez, David Morrell matchup.
Oh, that's an amazing matchup. That's a real fight. Like I said before, it's like Bivol and better Bivol. The Bivol fight coming up. That's a real fight. That's a real fight too. Morrell and Benavidez. That's one of them fights. It's like you wake up in the morning, you know you're gonna fight that day. So that's great for boxing.
Another big fight that was just announced for early 2025 is Fundora and Spence. Want to know what you think about that fight and how you see that one playing out.
Definitely interesting matchup. It's a great matchup. Two southpaws, two people who like to be there and fight. It's tough. I would have picked Spence, but he just hasn't been active. So that's just a tough fight. That's the only thing though you question is the inactivity, because that kills fighters. Especially going up in weight, you never fought at that weight before. The impact's different. The guys are bigger. Yeah, so I would have picked Spence. I don't know, but Fundora's just tough. So I really don't know. That's a great fight too, though.
If Spence does get that victory, do you see him getting the rematch with Bud, and how do you see a possible rematch playing out?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he gets that fight, he might get a Canelo fight. He might get the Crawford fight. You win that fight, you become unified. There's nothing but big things. I could really see him actually fighting Canelo if he wins that fight.
And on the other hand, with a victory for Fundora, do you see them unifying that belt at 154? Maybe him and Bud?
Definitely. If Fundora wins, I see him fighting maybe Crawford. I don't see him getting a Canelo fight. But I know Crawford wants to unify another division. So, yeah, it's interesting stuff going on.
Something pretty crazy in boxing recently in the headlines has been Teofimo and Teofimo's father going back and forth with Bud. What do you think about that whole situation, and how do you see a fight between those two playing out hypothetically?
I would love to see that fight at 147. Teo's, he believes in himself. He wants that big fight. He feels like he's been underpaid. He feels like he's been underrated. And why not? Go for the top guy. He feels like he could beat him. He feels like he got something to prove. He's hungry still. Crawford might be at a different mindset of his career where it's like he don't want, that fight don't interest him. He wants a big fight, big money fight. So that's a good fight at 147. It's definitely, at the end of the day, boxing's all about entertainment. So calling each other out, causing frenzies and all that stuff, and it's all a part of the sport.
Right.
It's never nothing personal. So it's just people love. That's what people love.
Everyone in boxing knows about the strong relationship between you and your father, Angel. Bud was saying some pretty crazy things, even sent a couple of threats to Teofimo's father. How would you respond if someone were to talk to you and your father that way?
Oh man, to me, if it's just, like I said, if we talking boxing, that's cool. Boxing is cool. Like, we could get disrespectful as long as you're keeping it boxing. But if you get personal, I don't know, then it's personal. But, you can say anything you want to say, but as long as it got to do with boxing, and then we just keeping it boxing.
100%. Yesterday, Bill Haney, he issued a challenge to Ryan Garcia. He told him if he could pass a drug test within 48 hours, they would give him the rematch. What are your thoughts on that, and how do you see a rematch going? Do you see the fight being any different at all?
I could actually see those guys fighting like 3 times because they have so much of a history. It's already a rivalry, So I think they're definitely gonna fight once or twice again, for sure. So I think it's interesting for boxing, and that's what boxing needs. Boxing needs entertainment, and that's what they get. That's what they're doing. So, I think they're gonna fight regardless, to be honest.
All right, Danny, thanks for the time. This is Fight Hype here.
For sure.